Good evening from PLUGHITZ Studios in Largo, Florida. I'm Scott.
I'm Avram.
And we are here with episode 503 of F5 Live, Refreshing Technology, for Sunday, July 29th, 2018. This show is a proud part of the Tech Podcast Network. If it's tech, it's here. This week, Google removes crypto from Android, EA adds extra games to Origin Access, and MoviePass cuts its service for a short while. Wherever you are and however you're accessing our show, whether it be on one of our live partners like livestream.com, Facebook Live, YouTube Live, Mixer, Twitch, or Periscope, on any of the podcatchers like Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, the Podcast Play app in the Windows Store, or the myriad of other podcatchers, on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or, of course, on our apps, PLUGHITZLive.com/apps. Thank you for making us a part of your day. Like I said, this here is F5 Live, Refreshing Technology, the flagship show on the PLUGHITZ Live family of content. We are live every Sunday night at about 9 p.m., unless we have technical problems like we had this evening. And we go for about an hour and we talk about the news of the week, gadgets, gaming, internet, and media. There are two ways that you can join us for the show. The first is live on Sundays by going to f5live.tv/join us. From there, you can chat with us in the chat room. The easiest way for us is either on Mixer, Twitch, or YouTube. Those are the chats that we can keep an eye on. So if you chat with us on one of those, we can actually respond to you. And we'd love to do that. We'd love to hear your input on the topics as we talk about them. In particular, during Avram's segment, The Pilch Point, which will be on in a little bit, where we're going to talk about the legality of ROMs, which has been a big thing this week. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. But definitely, if you're joining us live, chat with us in the studio. If you're not, I apologize. If you're not, that is okay. You can subscribe by going to PLUGHITZLive.com/subscribe. There you will see all of our shows, F5 Live and The Pilch Point, as well as the special events feed, which has collision stuff flooding it right now. We know we're a little late on it, but that stuff has been publishing all week, and we've got 75 or so more interviews to go, so definitely check that out, and all of our other series as well. And with that, Avram, how have you been this week?
It's been a week. Well, nothing too bad happened. I finally published my long-awaited story about what's the situation with ThinkPad quality control, and it's been getting a lot of traffic. So and there's a lot more detail in there than I shared on the show a couple of weeks ago when we were talking about my woes with having bought 3 different ThinkPad X1 Carbons, and none of their keyboards being quite as good as the other ones that I've tested. They were like the review unit they sent me, and with the screen, on a couple of them being quite dim. So I posted that. So I had sent the laptop back to Lenovo, hoping they would send me another one. I was dealing with their I had actually given it to my PR contact at Lenovo because I wanted them to give me a statement about why this is happening. You know, is the keyboard supposed to be like this? Is this an acceptable level of variance? What can people do if they get a keyboard that they feel is not up to snuff? And or other issues like a screen that is like much dimmer than expected.
Right.
You know, I hadn't heard back from them, but I did hear back from the customer service guy at Lenovo, who they passed my computer to, theoretically, so he could either, so he could do something for me. There's me, the journalist, and then there's me, the consumer.
Right.
And his job was to do something for me, the consumer. The people who were supposed to talk to me, the journalist, didn't say anything. And the one who was supposed to talk to me as a consumer gave me his own form of statement. And after that, I decided, okay, no more waiting for more explanation from them. It's time to publish a story. His statement was, there's no point in my sending you another one. I can't help you. I can't help you. I can't even say that if I sent you another one, the keyboard would be any better because we have no idea. So, and I don't see anything wrong with this one. So, so he said to me, "Hey, I'm just going to give you your money back." So they gave me my money back. And at that point, I'm like, okay, this really sounds like they don't want me as a customer anymore. You know, I mean, I mean, we can't say that with any definitiveness. I think that their solution to these sorts of problems is not to try to actually fix the problem and say, oh man, there's something wrong with this keyboard. Let me make sure that we get you one that has a good keyboard. Let me make sure that we get it to you quickly, and you don't have to wait another month to get it.
Right.
Like you would if you ordered it, if you ordered your own, because there's like a month wait. Month wait if you order a ThinkPad, a Carbon from Lenovo, unless you order the quick ship configuration. But instead of doing any of that, the guy's like, look, I can't help you. I'm just giving your money back. And I was worried that I might be getting special treatment from these folks and them to actually fix my problem. But the good news is, I don't know if anybody else would have got, I don't know if the result would have been different if I hadn't been passed over to higher level support, because because they know that I'm a journalist that writes about their stuff. It's, I mean, I guess it could have been worse. They could have charged me a restocking fee or something,
sure.
which they could do. But I think as a customer service solution, to be like, yeah, you know what? We sent you something that's not up to snuff. Instead of trying to keep you as a customer and get you one that is correct, we're just going to give you your money back and tell you to go elsewhere. Like, I don't think that's good customer service. I don't know what your opinion on that is. I mean, if it's like if just any job, like you told me you used to work at Radio Shack. If someone come into Radio Shack and they're like, hey, I bought this Radio Shack Tandy computer that was $1,000 and it's not really working right, would you be like, oh, sorry, I can't make sure that you do get one that's working right, so just take your money and leave?
No, we just started opening boxes and testing keyboards until you found the one that was right.
Yeah. So now the other thing that I found out that I did it, and I updated my article with this as well, is that I am far from alone in having issues with quality control from Lenovo. Now we can't say, we can't say for sure. Any laptop company, I'm sure if I look on the right forums for HP or Dell or Asus or whatever, I'm sure there are people who have lemons, because there are lemons from every manufacturing process.
Sure.
But when I was looking at ThinkPad Reddit, where I had posted about my situation, I just found a lot of people talking about different things, specifically with the X1 Carbon. Another guy who wrote an article on Medium about how the lid on his wouldn't close, and he asked for another one, and basically the same thing happened to him. The customer service first said he must have broken it, and then when they sent another one, which apparently they didn't send directly to him but to his retailer, because he didn't buy from Lenovo.com, the retailer called him and said, yeah, they sent us another one and it has the same problem. So another person who put up a video about getting an X1 Carbon where the backspace key did not work, and they actually showed a video of themselves hitting it and it not working. And another person who, a couple of people complained about paint rubbing off of their X1 Carbons.
Yikes.
And had pictures of the paint having rubbed off. So, that's those particular things didn't happen to me. What happened to me were keyboard problems, and the screens on the two 1080p ones I had being really quite dim,
painfully dim. In one case, if I remember correctly, it was more than 10% below what you were told it should be. Although you have currently gone into your image freeze mode. So while we wait for Avram's picture to come back, the chat room on Twitch Lex Talon says it could have to do with the fact that most consumers in general don't necessarily want a solution. They want what they believe they deserve, which is a refund. It's not a great solution, but it is something that the customer service may have just kind of resolved themselves to. I don't know if you heard any of that.
So anyway, long story short, I still need a new computer.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still using my 4-year-old computer, which is okay, but it's getting slower.
Mm-hmm.
Particularly when I'm doing stuff right now, being on this podcast, and I got Skype going, and I got my hooked into my dock, and I really liked the X1 Carbon. I would still like to have one, but now I don't know. Like what's to do? I can't really order another one from them. I could go back to Costco, where it's kind of expensive and has the dim screen, but at least Costco has a pretty good return policy.
Right.
But I had bought one there already, and the keyboard was as close to good as possible, but like the A key and the backspace key were a bit stiff. Now, considering I probably would have to say at a certain point, to be fair to them, every computer that I had was not defective.
Right.
It worked. It was a matter of those subtle but important things that if you really are picky about, you would notice.
Yeah.
So
especially if you're picky about the keyboard, which is something that we know you are.
Yeah. So like that's that sort of thing. A lot of people might have gotten them and be like, okay, I don't see a problem here. And the dim screen, people might have gotten this and look, I got the lower level 1080p screen. It's okay. I'll live with it.
Right.
But when you're spending $1,400-$1,500 on a laptop and you don't buy one every year, you kind of want it to be, what you were hoping for.
And when it isn't right out of the box, for me, my first thought is, well, if I'm going to have this for 4 years and it's starting off at 95%, that's not a great situation to be in. I want it to start at 100% when I get it, because I'm going to beat it up.
Exactly.
You and I travel all over the place with these poor things. This Surface Book has survived, but not everybody would have. That HP laptop I had, I don't think stayed as my primary computer for 6 months.
Yeah, so I think there's a real question here, which is like, okay, where to go from here? Should I buy, anyone want to suggest a different computer? I mean, I've reviewed a whole bunch. I really like the keyboards on ThinkPads when they are as they're supposed to be.
Right.
This was really good. Maybe the answer is to get, a heavier ThinkPad like the T480. Maybe the answer is to give up and get, an HP or a Dell or, something like that. But I really wanted like a heavy duty, business notebook with a really fantastic keyboard.
Right.
And I really like having the pointing stick, which really, if you want the pointing stick, Lenovo is really the only game in town.
Yeah,
Dell has it, but Dell and HP have it a little bit, but it's not the same. And,
that was definitely the the hallmark of IBM's laptops. So
yeah, and I know most people are like, oh man, just use the touchpad, grow up. And maybe they're right. I mean, I used to not go out of my way to buy phones with physical keyboards because I like the physical keyboard. And then one day I was like, I can't do this anymore because I have to settle for a crappy phone just to get the keyboard. But you would think these laptops, when built correctly, are not crappy. They're the best. Right. So
it's definitely unfortunate.
It's unfortunate. Anyway, always open to suggestions, and I encourage everyone to read my article on tomshardware.com.
Fantastic. Before we get into the news real quick, I want to mention I am wearing a strange shirt today. This is from one of the companies that we met at Collision in what year is this? 18, so it must have been 2017. Ultimatum. They're a really great service that allows you to turn like social media interactions into real world change. and we used them for the Drew project, and they went into public beta. I think officially today. I got the email about an hour before we went live. So definitely something to check out, yourultimatum.com. Their interview with us at Collision will be published in, I don't know, a week or so. And but I wanted to wear the shirt tonight because congratulations to the team on the open beta starting today. This week's Nifty Gifties on F5 Live is proudly powered by the Microsoft Store. Whether you're looking for a phone, a tablet, a laptop, Microsoft Store has it all. And in addition, you've got the Xbox One, where right now you can get a $30 gift card if you buy an Xbox One X. You can get all kinds of games. You can get VR headsets. I currently have in my possession a Microsoft HoloLens, which is my absolute favorite toy that I've used in a long time. I've played with it before, but it doesn't matter. That all kinds of stuff, and it doesn't just have to be Microsoft products. The Samsung Galaxy S9 and 9 Plus are available, and a whole lot more, all by going to f5live.tv/Microsoft. All right, so let's talk about some Android developments from this week. In particular, there was a bit of a policy change to the Google Play Store, which happens from time to time, especially as Google recognizes problems in the store, rampant problems. They'll create a policy specifically about it. And this week, two interesting things were officially banned from the Play Store. The first one I'm going to gloss over because it's kind of comedic. The Disney princess surgery games officially banned from the Play Store, which the fact that those exist at all is beyond bizarre.
This is new to me.
They've been around for a while. Alante and I, on the Windows Store, a year or so ago when he was on the show, we spent an evening looking through the store and we're like, I'm sorry, what is this game? And you read the description out loud and the words aren't in the right order. They're very bizarre games. They're obviously generated by a keyword tool.
So wait, Microsoft let them in, but Microsoft would not let in my benchmark test? Microsoft.
I don't have control over that. That is definitely bizarre. But they've been kind of across all the platforms. Apple has already banned them. Google did it this week. I have no idea if Microsoft has done anything about it. But the thing that's actually interesting is those games are bizarre. Definitely worth on a device that's not going to be really connected to Wi-Fi or anything like that, so that they can't actually steal your data. Download the app, turn off your Wi-Fi and play it, and then uninstall it before you turn it on. They're bizarre. Anyway, Google this week, in addition to the Disney princess surgery games or whatever weird things they are, also banned cryptocurrency miners. Now, for those of you who have been following the show, you know that we've been talking about the weird places where miners kind of slide themselves in without letting you know. For example, in ads on YouTube. The Coin Hive plugin, I think, is the one that I used for our benchmarking thing a while back. And also into apps. We have found them on all kinds of apps, in particular in the Android store. You don't really see it a whole lot in iOS or Windows, but you've seen it a lot in Android. They are officially banned. But they have also banned purposeful cryptocurrency miners. So if you've got some old devices lying around that you were hoping to build a little farm out of, sad story, you're going to have to go to a lot more trouble now because there cannot be any official or unofficial miners in the store. What they will allow is remote management tools. So if you have maybe a cloud mining array or you have a rig at home that you want to be able to maintain remotely, those tools will remain. But all of the miners themselves are... no new ones can be submitted, and current ones will be removed in the next couple of days. This follows in the footsteps of Apple that removed them from the iOS store about a month ago, and Google themselves removing the same kinds of things from the Chrome store in, I think, April. So not an unexpected move, because these types of things can cause hardware problems, right, Avram?
Yeah, no doubt. Well, you don't want people crypto mining on your computer, that's for sure, without your permission.
Right, but you definitely don't want it on your phone, right? Because, you know, when you're dealing with a phone and you spin a phone's processor up to 100%, even for a couple of minutes, we've all held a phone that's way too hot for its own good. You do that for a little while. The battery can have problems. The case can have problems. The phone that I use. I don't understand
why this was ever technically allowed, or ever possible. It's such a bad security breach to just say, hey, I can use anybody's processor cycles.
Yep,
for crypto mining.
But we saw it. We saw it everywhere. I mean, we saw Google get hit with it on YouTube in ads. We saw Facebook get hit with it in ads. We didn't talk about it on the show, but Facebook had the same problem happen. There are websites that are using it in the background on the sites. I know it's not the world's best example, but it's probably the most famous. The Pirate Bay uses crypto mining on its website when you go there. So it became so rampant on the web that the malware tools recognize the domain, especially for CoinHive, and block it. Yeah. So anyway, if you were hoping to use an old device, you wanted to use a device yourself to do mining, you're going to have to sideload software, which of course comes with its own special brand of risks. So my recommendation, I mean, you can get some success out of it, but we did that research a couple months ago, and even the Galaxy S9 with nothing, the Galaxy S8 Plus running nothing else, just the miner, only averaged out at about 9 per second, which wasn't great. Interestingly, the Surface Book 2 was one of the faster machines that came through our setup, which I thought was kind of interesting. But anyway, yeah, phones for crypto mining are not great, but if you want to do it, you're going to have to sideload now. Sorry, guys. This week's Pilch Point with Avram Pilch is proudly powered by Newegg.com. No matter what parts you're looking for to build your next computer, or to fix what you have, or to enhance an existing computer, Newegg will have it, and oftentimes has the best price on it. Whether you're looking to build a PC from scratch, or you're wanting to put a new SSD in an aging laptop, or enhance the RAM in your current computer, Newegg is a great place to find those parts. And you can follow their deals, which I know they run all kinds of deals right now. They've got a really great Corsair power supply on sale today, a fully built gaming PC, and a 27-inch 1 millisecond computer monitor from Acer for $159, which is actually a pretty great deal. I might add them to the studio. Anyway, to find out those deals and all the other ones that are going on and to explore their lineup, you can go to pilchpoint.live/newegg. So, Avram, this has been an interesting week for some gaming law, right?
Yes. So, wanted to talk about a story that was fairly big this week. Our senior editor at Tom's Hardware, Sharon Harding, wrote a great story about why downloading ROMs, the legality of downloading ROMs. So, this week, if you keeping up with lawsuit news or Nintendo news, Nintendo sued a couple of major ROM sites for 100 ROM downloading sites for like $150,000 an incident, or I guess a title, right? So like, millions and millions of dollars, let's say, enough to bankrupt them. Obviously that brings up the question once again, what is the legal standing of ROMs? Now, just in case there are folks listening who don't know what we're talking about when I say a ROM, so the traditional definition of the word ROM means read-only memory, and there's ROM on your computer and all that. But what ROMs are in this context is they're RIPs, files, software that represents an old game cartridge or an old game disc. So, let's say you want to play original Super NES. There will be a site out there. There are sites out there that have not only ROM files of all the games that were ever made, but also a little emulator so you can play them on your window on your Windows PC. Or in a lot of cases, you can even play them on a Raspberry Pi with an emulator, or you could play them on your phone with an emulator. And speaking of the Raspberry Pi one, there's that's a very common use case of Raspberry Pi. Like there are companies that actually sell controllers and cases to make your Raspberry Pi look like an old Nintendo. So, and it's not just Nintendo, I should point out. Nintendo made the news for suing folks this week, but old arcade games, that were in the arcade in the 80s, early 80s and the 90s.
Yep.
You can get Atari, Intellivision, ColecoVision, I'm sure, Sega Genesis, old game systems. You can get those games, and downloading them is these sites are hosting them for free. So Sharon talked to a number of intellectual property lawyers and to the Electronic Frontier Foundation, and the consensus is yes, it is illegal to host these files, and it's also illegal to download them, even if you own the cartridge somewhere in your basement. You still have that cartridge of Atari ET, and you want to play it on your PC. You cannot go. Well, you can, and you probably won't get punished for it. But technically speaking, it is illegal. It is probably, unless that content has entered the public domain, which, newsflash, almost no video game is in the public domain. Even the things from the 70s are still under copyright law,
unless a developer has made it open source or public, or
right.
There are exceptions, but anything that was under copyright is still that.
Yeah. And I think one of the lawyers said people who are playing games in the 80s will be in their 70s before they become public domain. So it's so on the other hand, downloading them, it's no one we spoke to could come up with a case of somebody actually being sued for downloading. They were sued for sharing.
It's always the hosts that are gone after.
Yes. But if you want to know whether what you're doing is actually legal or not, the general consensus is that it's not, even if you own the cartridge. Now, if you own the cartridge and you can somehow back it up yourself onto your computer, that may be, legal, depending on whether or not it's legal to defeat the copy protection if there is some. But to download somebody else's copy of the game, even if you own it, is not technically legal. Now, that may, like I said, be an academic question, because no one we talked to could think of an incident where someone was actually sued just for downloading stuff. But, it's definitely something that, one would consider problematic. So if you were, I don't know, running a school network or something, and you saw people downloading a lot of ROMs, you might be concerned because they're downloading illegal stuff.
Fair enough.
But so I encourage everybody to really get some more details on this. Definitely check out the article, which is on the homepage of tomshardware.com right now. It goes into a lot more detail about what is and is not legal from a ROM perspective. But obviously the ROMs will continue, but it's definitely intellectual property.
So the thing that I found most interesting about this, and I love that that you guys went out and approached legal experts. The thing that I found interesting about all this was that it was such a change in policy for Nintendo. Now, Nintendo has always been aggressive legally about a lot of things, fan art, ROMs, they are using music in Twitch streams that aren't of their games, all kinds of they're super aggressive legally. But when it comes to ROMs, they normally, in the past, have only sent cease and desists. And what happened this week was the companies that had recently received cease and desists received letters saying, you can go ahead and ignore those cease and desist letters. Instead, we're filing suit, which is a huge change of policy for the company. And I guess they've decided that they're going to be like RIA, and they're going to actually start going for it. Or maybe they had sent cease and desists before, and the industry had decided they were never going to act on them, so they decided to change minds. I don't know. But
let's put this another way, though, right? Not to always take the side of the big business here, but they still sell these games. They sell the SNES Classic and make money off of it.
Yes, and they've got the eShops on the consoles.
And I think some of these are now available on other platforms, right? So Nintendo is still it's not like they have no plans to ever sell these games and make money off of them again, and they're just hoarding the resource on the principle of it. They are selling these games. By the same token, there is somebody still selling, there's a lot of things that you can that you can get in various app stores. You can get new versions of whatever. So, I think some of the arguments have been oh, well, I'm just downloading this because I can't pay for it. But in a lot of cases, you can pay for it, although maybe not in the format that you would like. Maybe, for example, I would really like to play Dig Dug again, but they don't make it for Android. But I think they do make it for iOS or something like that.
Right.
So I get it that there's you can't always get what you want how you want it, but these companies are making real money off of these games. They're valuable intellectual property that they're still using, so they kind of have to protect their IP.
Yeah, for sure. You mentioned the NES and SNES Classic, and then they also, license the games to other hardware manufacturers that produce virtual console things. There's lots of ways that these properties continue to be monetized today, and to allow this would certainly make the value of those properties less.
Yeah. Now, of course, even when there's something where I can't name a game off the top of my head where the company that made it is long defunct and as long ago defunct, they're like a really old arcade game from 1982 by, I don't know, Bally Midway, or they still exist. I don't know. Anyway, really old. Those rights have probably been sold to somebody.
Absolutely, the chances of something like that just slipping from time are so slim. When a company goes out, somebody waits until the value of the company is low and buys the assets out from under it. For these reasons in particular. I mean, the company that we call Atari today is not the company that was Atari. It was a company that literally bought the assets from the original Atari out of closure. So, and by the way, Atari has a really cool throwback console, and so does Commodore.
I heard about the Commodore one. I had the Atari. I hope they've improved it since. I had what was it called? The Flashback.
Uh-huh.
My wife got it for me one year for Christmas, and it was so bad that we had to return it after a day because it came with a controller that was infrared. So
what?
Yes, infrared, like your remote control. So you couldn't use it. It was unplayable, and I hope that it's gotten better since then. That was 2 years ago. But the other problem that I had with it anyway was all the games were Atari brand games, no Activision games or anything like that.
Yeah, they were basically just the old numbered cartridges.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, Avram, thank you for bringing this topic, because it was one that I found interesting this week, and I decided not to cover because of the one that we're going to talk about in just a minute. So it was between the two, so I'm glad that we were able to talk about this, and I'm really glad that your team went to the extreme to go contact legal experts for their positions. And you said that was on Tom's Hardware right now?
Yes. So our new senior editor has been with us about a month. Sharon Harding really is good at doing these sort of feature reports, and when we give her assignment like this, it's boom, she always gets really good sources on the phone and whatever. And what I really wanted to do when we were talking about the story is let's get to the truth about this, because there's a lot of rumors out there, people saying things are legal that probably aren't, and so we went to the people who know about it.
That's awesome. Well, we always appreciate the stories you bring and the detail that you brought on this one. Thank you for that. This week's Extra Life on F5 Live is proudly powered by Razer. All the accessories you need to up your game on PC and on console. Whether you're looking for a new controller, a great mouse like the one I use here in the studio, gaming headsets, or even webcams for doing Twitch streaming, Razer has it all. And right now, there's they've been running some deal of the day type promotions, and today, I don't know how long it'll last, but today you can get, if you buy the Razer Mecha headset, you can also get the stand to go along with it, which is pretty great. I love for a gaming headset to have a stand, so that's pretty great. And obviously there's a whole lot of other deals going on laptops and all kinds of accessories. And you can find that all by going to f5live.tv/razor. So we just talked about Nintendo and the legality of ROMs, and the story that kind of usurped that for us this week was one of the things that was announced at E3 was kind of a shock, was a new tier to EA Origin Access, which, if you've been a long-time fan, used to headline this segment. It basically, for $5 a month or $30 a year, you can get access to the Vault, which is a whole bunch of old back catalog games, similar to the Microsoft Game Pass on Xbox and PC, where you can play all of these games as part of your subscription. And sometimes the games rotate out. It's very similar to the Game Pass. Now, at E3, they announced that there was a new tier coming, that what we call Origin Access today would be rebranded Origin Access Basic, and that there would be a Premier tier added later. That is kind of all the date information we had was later. Well, this week, that later has come, and we find out that if you're watching live, tomorrow. If you're not watching live, Monday, the 30th, is the day that Premiere is scheduled to go into effect. And what Premiere adds is current games. That's the big thing. Current games. And those games you'll get access to 5 days before they launch. So rather than being $5 a month, it's $15 a month. But you get a whole bunch of current games, not just the super back catalog stuff. There's going to be Sims titles in there, and the first 4 frontline games is what they call them. Basically launch title type games that will premiere are Madden NFL 19 in August, FIFA 19 in September, Battlefield 5 in October, and Anthem in February of 2019. Those games will all be available to Premier subscribers 5 days before they're available to the public as a full game, not as a demo, and you'll get to play it after it launches. So, and that goes into effect on the 30th. So tomorrow, for those of you who are watching live, which is really exciting. I know my brother has been jittery waiting for this to go into effect, because if you play a lot of EA games, this is a big deal. And the fact, this is the first year since 2012, I think, that Madden is coming back to the PC. So, it really is a good time for all this. And $100 and you get the frontline games included instead of paying $60 a title. That's a pretty great deal. And I think that's even a little better than what Avram and I talk about. I'd like to pay for the game and get the game. In this case, you don't even have to necessarily pay for the game. You get it and more. And, with EA's policies, that's a pretty great thing.
Yeah, that sounds like a good deal for gamers. If you play those games, that would be, it sounds like a steal.
And there's a huge wide selection of games that are available in Basic, and a even bigger selection that'll be available in Premiere for all kinds of gamers. Whether you're, we've got 2 sports games. We've got Battlefield 5, which is a shooter game. There's kind of something for everyone, and the fact that it's just all part of it is really kind of a cool thing. And it follows Microsoft's lead in Game Pass, which added Microsoft Studio titles on launch day to Game Pass, which started with the pirate game whose name I can never remember, Sea of Thieves. But EA has kind of knocked it up one notch, and they're saying not only are we going to give it on launch day, we're actually going to give subscribers 5 days ahead of time to experience some of these games, full game unlimited, which I think is kind of cool. So if you're a current subscriber, you don't have to do anything. You will automatically go to basic and just continue as is. Nothing will change. And if you want to upgrade to Premier, theoretically you will be able to do it sometime after midnight, probably Pacific time, today, tomorrow, whatever. So definitely check it out. Obviously look at what the vault contains before you make the decision on whether to buy. Make sure it's games that you're going to want to play. But we do know what our first 4 front lines are, and they're pretty cool. So definitely check it out. This week's news from the tubes on F5 Live is proudly powered by RiffTrax. Make fun of movies or let the professionals do it for you, because, that's what they do. The guys who used to do Mystery Science Theater 3000 are back and doing what they do best, making fun of movies. From blockbusters to a talking cat? I don't know, I can't make this stuff up. And it's got the punctuation and everything. They've obviously got a little bit of everything. The way it usually works is for a couple of bucks, you download the MP3, play it along with your DVD, Netflix, Amazon, wherever the movie happens to live, and laugh. They also offer short films, which are like industry-type films and things like that, where they make fun of some pretty horrific and terrifying industry films. And from time to time, they will do live events. The next live event is Crow in theaters nationwide. It will be August 23rd, and it actually represents something special for RiffTrax. Not the 23rd, but the encore presentation, which is on the 25th, is the first time that a RiffTrax live event will take place on a Saturday and not on a weekday. So that'll give more people an ability to see the live event in theaters. To find out what theaters are showing the film and to find out what movies and short films are available, you can go to f5live.tv/RiffTrax with an X. All right, so 2 weeks ago, we talked about the fact that the Department of Justice had decided to appeal the AT&T Time Warner merger, which may or may not have an impact. This week, another Time Warner brand is having some regulatory merger issues. This time, Time Warner Cable in the state of New York, which is where Avram is. Charter went on a bit of a buying spree a while back. In 2016, they bought Time Warner Cable. They bought Bright House Communications, and the 3 companies together started being marketed under the Spectrum brand. So if your cable company is Spectrum, you're a part of this behemoth, which is the undisputed number 2 behind Comcast in the cable market by quite a margin, with Time Warner and Bright House behind them. We had Bright House here. We became Spectrum. I know in Avram's old place, he had Time Warner Cable, which is now Spectrum. So this merger affected people in a lot of places. This week, the state of New York has said that Charter did not meet requirements of the merger, and they voted to revoke their approval of the merger. Now, what does that mean 2 years later? It means that Charter is being forced by the state to sell off all of the assets that they picked up from Time Warner Cable in the 2016 purchase within the state. Obviously, New York can't say that they have to sell off assets in Texas, but
Right.
but they can say that anything that was Time Warner can no longer be Charter, which is a pretty big deal because these types of transitions aren't simple.
Yeah, I mean, my guess is that it sounds like they're going to fight this in court, so I don't think
Absolutely.
it's going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen within 60 days. I actually had people in my office like Andrew saying to me, like, "Oh, what should I do? Is my service going to be interrupted? What should I do?" And I said, "Listen, I highly doubt it. I mean, even if they do go through the sale, the service wouldn't be interrupted. I mean, someone else would take over. The logical choice
That was actually a requirement, was that there could be no service interruption.
Right. I saw that in the filing. It's not. I mean, talking about what they haven't complied with. I mean, I haven't seen a great detail about what went wrong. I mean, except that they apparently have not expanded service to rural areas that they said that they would.
Mm-hmm.
But I haven't seen anything about them, being, crappy to their customers.
Right.
Which Time Warner wasn't the best. I can say that having had them.
Yeah.
I mean, not that they were like the worst in the world, but when I moved and I had the chance to get FiOS, I was all about that. Now, where I live now, we can't even get Time Warner or now Spectrum. We're now, like, if we wanted to not use FiOS, our other choice would be Altice, which is I think what used to be known as Cablevision.
Oh.
So
boy, there's a name I haven't thought about in a while.
Which I don't know if they were an asset of Cablevision, and Cablevision still exists. I'm not really up on it because I don't use them, but I guess that would be a logical company to buy it because they own cable stuff out on Long Island, and so maybe they should also have. It would be easy enough for them to take on other parts of the state. So I don't know, but yeah, I mean, look, I think it's good that if the company made promises to do certain things as part of its merger approval, that it be held accountable for that if they didn't live up to those promises.
Absolutely. As we've seen, recently with some pretty big and high profile mergers. In particular, we'll talk about the Disney Fox merger, right? We know that there are sometimes big and intense and very strict rules put on mergers. Like, Disney is not allowed to acquire the Fox Sports networks. They can buy everything else, but they are required to immediately divest of the Fox Sports networks. And you make agreements, you make concessions. When Verizon bought whatever the company was here in town for their fiber cable company, they were required to do, like, there were certain markets they weren't allowed to acquire. And that it's the same thing when Verizon bought Alltel. Verizon Wireless bought Alltel. They didn't get all of it. Some of it went to Sprint, some of it went to AT&T because market rules. And it's the same thing with any big merger like this. There are markets that they can't do and things like that. So and yeah, if you don't live up to it, obviously you can't just go, well, I guess it's okay. Yeah. As soon as you set a precedent, that's it. That's, oh, well.
I mean, the state is exercising one of its only means of sort of making sure that people get good service and people in rural areas get service, because it basically, I don't know if it's technically covered as a public utility. I mean, it's not a public utility because there's competition, in theory competition.
Uh-huh.
But for a lot of people, there is no competition. They don't have a choice of multiple broadband providers in their home. And if they do, if they're lucky enough to have a choice, it's 2 choices. It's not 5 or 10. So, we kind of are counting on the state to make sure that these 2 companies, 1 or 2 companies that people have, are not abusing them. Now, I did, what was unclear to me is, what, aside from not spreading out the service like they planned, what other things they really haven't done that they were supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
But if they're not, if they're not serving people like they promised, they need to be held accountable.
I had open in the office. I have a checklist. There were 5 bullet points that the state pointed out as violations of their agreements. I don't remember what the 5 were because it's been a couple days now. But I know
they're a little. I had them open, but they're a little vague.
Okay.
The company's repeated failures to meet deadlines. Charter's attempts to skirt obligations to serve rural communities. Okay, that's one that's pretty clear what that means.
Yeah.
Unsafe practices in the field. Its failure to fully commit to its obligations under the 2016 merger agreement, and the company's purposeful obfuscation of its performance and compliance obligations to the commission and its customers. So they're being accused of actually lying about what they did do.
Yeah, there's actually there's some evidence in some filings that they said that they had accomplished certain things on their agreement list that they hadn't.
Right. So that all makes sense, but I don't know what the unsafe practices in the field are for reading. Like, I'm looking at the Public Service Commission statement, or what their repeated failures to meet deadlines means exactly, or failure to fully commit to its obligations, which obligations specifically it doesn't say.
That's like the world's most vague sentence.
The only one here that really stands out is like
the rural.
Specific is rural, and maybe these other things also refer to that, like deadlines for serving rural communities.
That could be.
But if you're not in a rural community, my question is, were any of these things that affected you?
Right. Does all of this come down to possibly employee safety? I don't know what the third one was, but
yeah, unsafe practices, I have no idea what they mean by that.
So let's assume that that's employee safety, maybe, and maybe everything else is all regarding the rural access. So is this something that affected the majority of their customers? Who knows? Because again, they're being incredibly vague. That's the reason why I couldn't remember what the 5 bullet points were. There was only one that was in detail, and it was the one you remembered too. Anyway, Charter has said obviously that they disagree with the commission's findings and that they're going to fight this in court. Obviously, this merger is not new like the AT&T Warner Media one is, where it would be kind of easy to push it back out. This one is 2 years in. It's they're pretty well integrated into the organization at this point. It would be more challenging to push it out, and obviously Charter doesn't want to do that. New York is a good market, and 2 million of their, I think, 23 million subscribers are in this collection. So it's literally almost 10% of the customer base is wrapped up in this fight right now. So Charter is clearly going to fight this, as you would expect. There's almost no way once a judge gets involved that the 60-day time frame means anything, because obviously they're going to have a judge put a stay on it immediately, and just in case you're curious, yes, that company is the old Cablevision. Altice is Cablevision.
That's what I thought.
I looked it up for you. So anyway, this story is far from over, and we will definitely be staying on top of it. This week's DRM Not Included on F5 Live is proudly powered by Amazon Prime. You know your basic benefits. You know you get free shipping. You may not know you get free music streaming of several million tracks through Amazon Prime Music. You get free TV, movies, and custom content, documentaries through Prime Video. You get, and it's fun to get to point this out tonight. You get Twitch Prime, which gives you two things. One, you get a free subscription on Twitch per month, which if you would like, you can use to subscribe to us, which I believe may have been done in the chat room this evening, because I see a little crown. And you also get free games. At least one, sometimes several free games per month that rotate out periodically, similar to what you get with Xbox and PlayStation. You can also get it for PC, and you should definitely claim your free games because they are yours. Once you have them, they're yours. And there are a whole bunch of other benefits as well with Amazon Fresh and all kinds of other stuff. And to find some of our favorite benefits and to sign up for a free 30-day trial, if you are not already a Prime subscriber, you can go to f5live.tv/prime. All right. Subscription services are all the rage, as we know. Whether it be something like Prime or Netflix and Hulu, or the services that send prepackaged but not prepared meals to your door. Subscriptions are a big deal in the tech industry right now, and one that made a lot of noise earlier in the year was MoviePass, which for a very low fee, about the price of a single movie per month, at one point you got to see unlimited movies, and then it changed to one a day. And then they started to limit what movies you could see. And then they did something weird and bought Movie Phone, which was an odd thing. But they only paid $1 million for it. So in the grand scheme of things, not that big of a deal. But then this week, their little slide from grace continued as Thursday, the service mysteriously went offline. And you could not purchase any tickets, which... Obviously, if you have shown up to a movie theater to go see a movie and you open your thing that you've paid for and you go to buy your ticket in the app, buy your ticket. Obviously, you're not paying for it, but you buy your ticket in the app and the app just closes. That is not great. And when you go look and find out, oh yeah, we're having technical difficulties on the back end. That's annoying and could be embarrassing if the other person or people you've gone with have just bought their tickets and all of a sudden, what are you going to do? I guess you have to buy a ticket. As it turns out, the quote-unquote technical difficulties on the back end were that the company ran out of money. And by that, I mean they had $0. And they were not able to purchase any of the tickets that people were requesting, which is the reason why the system went down. In an SEC filing, they revealed that they were out of money and that they had borrowed another $5 million from a capital firm whose name has escaped me. Hudson Bay Capital Management. They borrowed $5 million in cash and got another 1.2 in original issue discount, which means that they discounted a previous loan to the company. Now, why is all of this important? This company is likely not going to make it out of the summer.
Well, I hope people. Could you pay for a year in advance?
Absolutely. And in fact, they ran a promotion recently where people purchased a year in advance, and that's about to become a problem.
Whoops! Because if you're paying monthly, hey, you enjoyed it while it lasted.
Mm-hmm.
But if you paid a year for your year in advance, well, you might not see your money back.
Absolutely. We have several staff members who took advantage of that year in advance, and I decided not to because I had a feeling that it was not going to survive. I didn't think it was going to make it to August. They're beating me a little bit, but obviously not by much.
So are they? So have you used it much? Have you gotten you're paying the monthly?
No, I decided not to. I decided not to get involved in it at all. I don't go to the movies enough. If the year in advance, if I thought that they were going to survive the 12 months, the year in advance would have paid for itself for me. But I simply just don't go to the movies enough to justify the monthly.
Yeah. I mean, in my age and stage of life, like the cost of the tickets is pretty expensive, but there's so many other things that have to happen for my wife and I to go to a movie that like we just don't get to go very much. And the cost of the tickets is not exactly what's holding us back. It's
certainly not number one.
It's getting a babysitter and stuff like that and having time and whatever. So it's not I'm not too it wouldn't have gotten me. But if I was at a different stage in my life where where I wasn't a parent and I had more time to go to movies, then I might have considered it. Sure. It's
definitely an interesting idea.
It was a nice idea to actually do something to try and mess with the business model of the movie theaters, which despite the fact that people are going to the movies less, movie theaters continue on as if
everything's good.
Everything's good and it's never going to change, which I think is a little bit short-sighted to say the least. But especially now that things are the cadence of things coming to video is much quicker than it used to be. So now you really don't have much incentive to go to the movie theater unless you're just dying to see this movie before everyone else in your office talks about it in front of you, right? Which, like, listen, if I had not gone to see Avengers Infinity War,
it's so funny. That's exactly what I was thinking.
I would have totally the truths of it would have been revealed to me, whether I liked it or not.
Yes, indeed.
And that was one that I was really dying to see, but but other ones, my wife and I would like to get out and see Ant-Man and Wasp.
Sure.
We did not, we haven't been able to get a babysitter, so it wasn't like the level of priority where we had to move heaven and earth to do it. But so, but the thing is, right, like $10, $12, $13 per person to see a movie before you even pay for snacks, that's a lot of money.
Yes, it is.
That's a lot of money considering that in like 3 months you'll be able to rent it for $4. Yes, you get to see it on the big screen. Unfortunately for movie theaters, a lot of people have pretty big TVs at home.
Yep.
A lot of people have nice comfy seats at home. Although I know movie theaters are getting better with the seat thing. Like the movie theater that we go to the most has these like leather reclining chairs that are really nice. I kind of wish I had a chair like that at home. But
I both like and dislike that because I discovered recently that the armrest in the middle doesn't go up.
Really? I guess it depends which theater you're going to.
Yeah, for sure.
When we go, it does.
Okay.
The theater we go, it does.
Mine was definitely locked in place, and it made me sad.
Oh, yeah. Well, the one that the theater we usually go to, it PLUGHITZ. But yeah, I mean, it's so they're doing things to try and make it nicer for you, but at the same time, it's too expensive. And then, like, I don't understand the incentive why anybody would go to the movies to see a movie that is, this is my soapbox for a long time, a movie that is just people talking to each other. I get it. There's some really great movies out there that, that are people talking to each other, that are dramas, but are they $13 of experience that you have to see them on the big screen?
Right.
Like, if I'm going to pay to go to the movies, something better explode. Like, if I'm going to spend good money to see that on the big screen, because if it's just if it's only good plot and only people talking to each other about their feelings, I could see that at home.
And
literally
and
either by renting it or just by watching my family.
So you're saying your family produces a good plot? Okay.
There can be drama.
Yeah, I can totally understand that, because there's some things that the average person can't replicate. Not everybody has, a big. Okay, we have a comment in the chat room. I'll get to you in just a second, Lex. There's a. Not everybody has the big surround sound system at home, and things like that. I do, but not everybody does. But there's some things that for an action movie, for an Avengers type movie where there's things that the sound quality produces, there is that benefit for most people. Lex says that he agrees with you.
Really, I found someone who agrees with this. Every time I talk about this, people are like, "But no, you gotta see these things in the theater as they're meant to be seen."
He says, however, with MoviePass, I watch pretty much everything. I was an early adopter to the service, which is theoretically great for the theaters. It's theoretically great for the publishers, but it turns out it's not great for MoviePass, because when they started the service, they didn't think, hey, it would be great. Let's go build a relationship. Let's build a service that allows theaters to market, to market unlimited movies. They went and tried to buy tickets and, all this thing like behind the scenes, which there was no way that was ever going to be profitable for them. If they'd have built a technology and gone to AMC and said, hey, we have this thing, let's AMC brand it, you guys promote the heck out of it, and you'll have people come into the place, you'll have recurring revenue, you'll have people come into the place and buy the outrageously priced snacks and stuff, and everything will be good for you. Instead, they tried to buy tickets almost retail, and Lex says even at $30 a month, it was a deal for me. Yes, a deal for you, not so much for MoviePass though.
Right, because if you go 3 times, I mean, depending on where you live, right, like around here in the New York area, even for a 2D movie, you could be paying like $13, $14. So it's you go like 2-3 times, maybe 3 times, and you've covered your money. And if I were the movie theater, if I were AMC or Regal, I would do this myself. But obviously they don't like this idea. They don't want they think that it's better that they keep charging people individually for movies. Now, if they were smart, they would find a way to do this that really took advantage of some of the other trends that are going on. Like, there's really, I don't know about around you, but there's really no second run movie theaters anymore around here.
Yeah, we used to have one, but it's been a Walmart for a year and a half now, and it was a truck dealership for several years before that.
So there's really no second run movie theaters anymore. Maybe because videos come out like 3 months
Yeah.
after.
That could be.
But at the same time, things are out of the movie theater much quicker. Things are like they're out of the movie theater, then like even a really popular movie could be out of the movie theater in a month.
Yeah.
Right. So it's it's the rarity when you have something like Black Panther that was in the movie theater for months.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And so different than when we were kids. Like today, I was watching one of my favorite movies of all time with my son, who apparently just cannot pay attention to it. We watched Time Bandits, which, if you've never seen it, is like one of the greatest movies ever made. I don't care what anybody says. And when I was 8, and that thing was in the theater, my parents must have taken me to see it like 4 or 5 times over the course of like, several months. But now, movie would be out of the theater in like 2 weeks. So the theaters could do something, like they could go and say like, okay, after the first week or after the second week or something, then you can use the pass.
Sure. And that's the kind of thing, like I'm totally with Lex in the chat room. It's the kind of thing that like there's definitely like a consumer benefit to it, and theoretically there's a business benefit to the theaters if they're involved in it to do it. The thing that you've basically pitched is Netflix, right? Because Netflix gets the movies after their first run, right?
Yeah, but Netflix doesn't get every movie for a long, and they don't, and often it's not like the 3-month window is for you renting something on like Amazon.
Yeah, but I mean, the thing you've pitched is the idea of a theater-based Netflix, where it's not first run. It's not, what did EA call it? It's not frontline. It's not day of release stuff. You put a little bit of a delay. Maybe you can't use the pass in the first week, so you go see it on day 8. Okay. Netflix has proven that licensing content later works just fine, right? Giving you the ability to watch it after release. So, the theaters could do the same thing. Give it to you on day 8. That might be something that I could get behind. It all depends on whether the theater experience is big for you. I think I saw Infinity War in the theater, and I saw Jurassic World in the theater, and before Infinity War, couldn't tell you.
Yeah, I just don't go too much. It was, this was a banner year for me. I think I went to the movies like 3 times since January. We went to see Black Panther, Infinity War, and Solo. Okay,
gotcha. And would you have waited till day 8 for any of those?
I did for most of them.
See, there you go. So
without necessarily wanting to. In most of the cases, it was a matter of like we didn't have a babysitter that first weekend, and tickets were sold out too.
Yeah, there you go. So I think there's a way that this concept, after MoviePass inevitably vanishes from the world, there's a way for this concept to live on, just not under that banner. Well, that is our show. Thank you to those of you who have been watching live. I know our numbers over here have been kind of fluctuating, but obviously Lex has been in the Twitch chat, and Elijah's been in the YouTube chat, I think that is.
Thank you, guys.
So thank you for watching live. If you did not watch live, you can do so Sunday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern, by going to f5live.tv/join us. If you did join us live, and you can't always, that is okay, because the show is available through syndication at PLUGHITZlive.com/subscribe. There you can subscribe to F5 Live and The Pilch Point, our special events feed, and many more. I think there are currently 7 series in production. The Collision stuff is going into publish right now. Interestingly, thanks to Lex, who edited our day 0 audio for us and cleaned it up so that it didn't sound like we were on the other side of the room, because we didn't use our wonderful headsets on day 0 because we were in the hallway. Anyway, those 10 will finish publishing. 9 of them are up now. And then we have another 100 or so of our regular content that we'll be publishing right behind it. So definitely check that out. If you want to get right to that, the easy way is collision.live. We'll take you right to that content. So I guess with that, on behalf of the staff that's not here, I'm Scott.
I'm Avram.
And we will see you guys back next week. Ciao.